Hi, what's your name and who are you with?
My name is Michael Fremer, and I'm with Sharon Fremer. Here. I am the editor of trackingangle.com. That's a website that I started.
What got you into hi-fi?
When I was a very little boy, my father's office was near a street called Cortlandt Street in Manhattan. And Cortlandt Street is where the hi-fi industry in America started after World War II. It's where all of the companies that were selling parts to the military had all this military surplus, capacitors, resistors, transformers, and they started selling it to hobbyists. And out of that came the hi-fi industry. And so I would walk down that street with my father when I was a little kid, and we'd pass by the hi-fi stores, Leonard's Radio, Harvey's Radio, all these stores, and look in the windows, and there was all this glistening Macintosh and Marantz and all these hi-fi brands. Plus, I loved music from the time I was a little baby, and so you put the two together, and you have a fetish.
Awesome. So, what inspired you to start Tracking Angle?
Well, so I've been involved. I've been a writer for many years. I've done stand-up comedy for many years. I opened for bands. I wrote for the Boston Phoenix. I wrote for a magazine called Fusion Magazine in Boston. I dropped out of law school to get involved in all of this. I was a disc jockey on the radio. Well, we like to call it in those days. I was an on-air personality, not a disc jockey. So I've had all this stuff. I was on tour with David Bowie. I was on a David Bowie Ziggy Stardust tour covering it for a magazine. So, it's just something that's always been in me. And I'm very opinionated. I've been described as a giant walking opinion. And so I like to make my opinions known. And I started writing for a magazine called The Absolute Sound in 1986. And I wrote for them through the mid-90s, and then I moved over to Stereophile. And then when the internet started, I started a website of my own, and then I went to Stereophile, and the people at Stereophile didn't like me having my own website, and they said, "We'll buy your website, and we'll start another website that we will own, and we'll put you on salary." And I'd never been on salary before. I thought that was it. I also supervised the soundtrack to the movie Tron. Do you know the movie Tron?
I do.
I supervised the soundtrack to the first Tron, the one with Wendy Carlos, not the one with Daft Punk. And I wrote an animated feature film called Animal Olympics. Did you ever hear of that?
I haven't.
If you go on Amazon Prime, you can actually watch it.
Okay.
So the voices are Gilda Radner. Do you know who she is?
I do not.
Billy Crystal.
Sounds familiar.
Harry Shearer. He's on The Simpsons. One of the voices on The Simpsons.
Okay.
Yeah. So the voices on Animal Olympics are Gilda Radner, Harry Shearer, Billy Crystal, and me. Now they have all drifted off into obscurity, and I'm a big star. That's a joke. Okay. So anyway, I've done all these different things, and at some point they built a website for me at Stereophile called Analog Planet, and I was there for 10 years, and I asked for improved remuneration, which is another way of saying a raise, and I'll be perfectly honest, and they said no, so I quit. And I started my own website, Tracking Angle, which comes from a magazine that I published in the 90s called Tracking Angle, which was a full-color, glossy, beautiful magazine. And that's how I am where I am today, and I have a YouTube channel, and if you walked around the show with me, it's, people come up to me and they thank me and they do selfies with me and they're happy to see me. And, when you live in your basement, because that's what I do, working, when you get out and meet the people that you communicate with, on the internets, and they're just happy to see you and they're nice to you, it's fantastic.
A real celebrity.
You know what? I was a celebrity when I was on the radio in Boston. I was pretty well known. Like, my voice was very well known. So I could go to a restaurant and talk with people and say, "Oh, you're that guy on the radio." And that was, I enjoy. Some people don't like that. I like it, up to a point.
You love your fans.
Yeah, and I love my fans. I love the fans. And, I got on an airplane once. I was going to Japan on a trip. And the pilot came out to do some business. And he goes, "You're on this airplane." And he points. And I don't think, who is on this airplane? I gotta turn around and see, maybe it's like George Clooney or something. I turn around, I don't see anybody. He goes, "No, you." The pilot was pointing to me. So the pilot was a fan, and he comes over and he says, "I have a problem with my turntable, and I'm worried about my tracking angle and my stylus rake angle." And I said, "Let's fly the plane to Japan, and when we get off the plane, I'll meet you in the baggage department, and we'll talk about your turntable. I don't want you to mix up stylus rake angle with takeoff rake angle." That kind of thing is fun.
And last question is, what is one of your favorite songs that you're listening to currently?
Oh, That's a difficult question because I have produced 2 records, so I'm going to be a self-promoter, all right? So I put out a record by Rufus, Reid, and Caelan Cardello. It's a jazz record. It's on my own label, Liam Records, and I love that record. It's sold out now. We sold it out, so I'm not mentioning it because I want people to buy it. There's probably a couple of copies around. And then I did the vinyl version of Patrick Leonard's new record. Do you know Patrick Leonard? Do you know,
I will.
Do you know Madonna?
Yes.
Okay, well, he produced all of Madonna's early records and co-wrote the songs with her. And he produced Amused to Death for Roger Waters. And he's got an amazing, amazing career. And he came to me to produce the vinyl version of his latest album. It all comes down to Mood, which I did. And it's a fantastic album, and I promote it all over the place. So I can't say what my favorite song is because there's so many great songs. I can't do that. I'm not good at that. I'm not good at lists. You know, what were the 3 best? A guy came up to me just before. What are the 3 best rooms at the show? And I said, I can't make that kind of judgment because I heard a lot of great rooms with big systems. You know, that you go into the rooms where it's, if you have to ask how much it costs, you can't afford it. And then there are rooms that are modest and they can sound really, really great. But most of the show, I'm running around with my camera just trying to document what's here as opposed to sitting and listening. I don't get to do that much, actually.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your story, Michael.
You're welcome. And please visit the Tracking Angle YouTube channel. If you go on there, you'll see a great video where I was an expert witness for Quincy Jones when he sued the estate of Michael Jackson. You know Michael Jackson. You're not too young for that, right?
No.
Yeah. So I was an expert witness for Quincy Jones, and if you watch that video, it's got everything. It's got high drama. It's got comedy. It's got pathos. It's got every emotion under the sun is in that video.
Okay.
And it was one of my best experiences in my life. Was that experience? It was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done, and I pulled it off 100%. When I got off the witness stand, that thing, I said to myself, nothing is ever going to bother me again. I can do whatever I want. I can move through the world completely free of anxiety, and it worked. Plus, I got paid a lot of money, so it was really good.
That's awesome. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. And we didn't mention my age at all during this, right? So we're not going to.
Mystery.
Is that okay?